Happy Wednesday night. Welcome to Deep in the Plus. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. As always, thank you guys so much for being with us on your Wednesday night. We appreciate you. Please, if you have not already, subscribe to WDWNTTV. And also, please give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate it because tonight we're going to be talking about Bluey. I know it's a little bit weird, but man, Bluey has been a phenomenon that is, I think, taken into everybody's household. And you know what? I think it might get us demonetized tonight, but I feel like this is important.
Rob! Dad! Rob! Bingo! Bluey!
Charlie! We almost did it. That was fun, right? They were saying in the chat.
That was cute.
You gotta do the dance, and like I said, probably gonna get us demonetized, but who cares? It's fine. We're all fine, and we're talking about Bluey, and let's start with our good friend and chief Bluey correspondent, it's Ron Deanna.
G'day, mate. How's everybody doing?
And then we have with us Desi.
Hello, mommies can floss.
Mommies can floss. And then Charlie.
Hello, good to be here.
Yeah, the energy level just sunk after that. I don't know if you all just tired or what.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't even flossing. I'm not even really sure what's happening with that. So, the funny thing is that Disney Junior had Bluey. I guess Disney Channel had Bluey, and they brought it to Disney Plus. And honestly, I'm not sure I knew much about it until I heard it from Ron, really, because I know that his daughter was a big, huge fan of Bluey. I don't think those are all his toys behind him. He's probably stolen some of hers. But how did y'all get started with Bluey in your household, Ron?
I don't know who put it on for my daughter at one point. I think it was one of her aunts. And it was just on, and I came in and I just, sat down and watched it with her, and I just fell in love with it. I think it's a cute show, and I think what really sells it is the mantra is from like Joe Brumm and the creators is they're not writing for the kids. It's kind of a show created for the parents. It's kind of created in response to things like Peppa Pig that they thought were like kind of insufferable to watch. So they created something that they want to watch with their kids. And only two of those figures are mine. The rest are Andy's.
Okay, that's fair. Desi, I assume you have this on in your household as well with your kids?
Yes, but funny enough, I also heard about it from Ron. So we didn't start watching it until Ron started talking about it. So I figured I would check it out because we were watching way too much Peppa Pig, and I was getting really burned out on the Peppa Pig, and Ron suggested Bluey and said that it was much more enjoyable for parents to watch as well. So have to thank Ron for the recommendation.
Nice. And
Although
Charlie,
we don't have a Bluey theme park here.
Yeah, I know, I understand. Charlie,
Nope.
I assume that you did not get the word from Ron Deanna.
I did not, actually.
Okay.
Right after I got married, my cousin was like, hey, so you guys are having kids and you want to watch Bluey? And we were like, absolutely not. We are not having kids. Never. Leave us alone. We're going to be young and just a married couple forever. And he was like, you want to write this down. Bluey, it's the best show. And like, because he has two kids who are very close, so he's just living it all the time. And so when we did end up having a kid, and hey, come on. When we did end up having a kid who wants to make a guest appearance, we kind of stumbled onto Bluey on Disney Plus, and after, Paw Patrol Forever and all the other ones that are very insipid, this one is really, really good. I kind of took to it in the same way as Rugrats, where it's like it's a realistic view of parenthood, and so it really is for us as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say, first of all, I'm going to say thank you to Jungle Cruiser for a super chat. Here is some cash if you do get demonetized. Thank you. We appreciate it. Never seen Bluey as an adult. Is it good? Is it good? I mean, I think, we try to save that final thought for the end, but for me, I heard Ron talking about it. They were like early on going, well, we're going to have to do Bluey. And if we're doing Bluey, it has to be with Ron. There is no option. We knew that from the beginning. But when I started was when my daughter, my teenage daughter, started watching it when she was with me and she was hanging out, and she's like texted me at work going, hey, I just finished season 1 of Bluey, now I'm on to season 2. And then she would want to show us episodes and, well, let's sit down and watch this episode. Let's watch the Keepy Uppy episode, or let's watch, whatever episode that she got excited about. And we would watch them, and it's an easy watch. Each one is labeled as 9 minutes, but you have the 25-second dance party at the beginning, and then after that you have the episode, and then it ends with about a minute and a half left for Disney to explain to you all the voices from all the languages that are around. So probably I think they come in about 7.5 minutes per episode. So it's definitely something that you could sit down with your kids and watch an episode really quickly and then move on. But again, I think that you're right, Ron. It's on a different level. It's on a level. I think we talk about that with a lot of Disney things, whether it's the Muppets or with Pixar movies, things like that, where it's on this adult level and a child's level, so that you can actually enjoy it as a family. So, I think what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to talk about the entire series, but I think I want to break it down into parts where we're going to talk a little bit about the stories, the character, favorite episodes, and then just kind of give thoughts on that. I'm sure we could fill up, probably with this crew, probably a couple hours. We're going to keep it to the 60 minutes as promised here, though, tonight. So, Ron, I want to ask you first, do you ever watch Bluey when your daughter's not in the room? You got to be honest with me.
Oh, definitely. I actually got a VP. I actually will VPN to Australia when they air there before they get on to Disney, because they'll air there, one episode a day for a couple weeks, and then they'll dump a half season onto Disney Plus. So I'll watch them beforehand, and then she'll sit down and watch them eventually. But but that's what she wants to watch every day when she comes home from school. Like, if I'm still, like, I'll pick her up and I still have to work for a half hour, an hour. I ask what wants to be on, and it's Bluey, and I like having that on in the room, as opposed to, like, the other ones are like Gabby's Dollhouse and all this other stuff that I just find kind of annoying. I find this, it just draws me in, and I do leave it on when she's not there.
Well, Jarrett in the chat said it's hilarious to watch your kid try the accent, because it is a show from Australia. There's a lot of little things, that are, that's just part of the thing about it being cute. I wrote down some of the words as I was watching it that I was like, like Bandit, who's the dad, always calls like the kids like mate, which is
Yes.
just, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Mom had to go make brekkie.
Yep.
There was one I actually had to turn on the subtitles for, because I was thinking, I don't think I'm hearing that right. It was the episode called Robot Dad, where he was going to throw them away, so he's going to put them in the wheelie bin, and I was like, the what now? So I like turned on the subtitles. Yep, it's absolutely the wheelie bin. So Desi, you're going to say a little bit something about that. Do you call your kids mate now?
I don't call my kids mate. They were probably watching too much Peppa Pig because they started getting a British accent. They have not yet picked up on the Australian accent from Bluey. But I did think that it was funny that the dad talks about rugby and cricket. He's like, oh, okay, you guys want to sit on the couch and watch some cricket? Which, here in the US, it would probably be like, hey, let's sit on the couch and watch some football. So kind of relatable that the kids were like, no, let's go do something else instead.
Yeah, that is the thing.
I get
There's
called
a lot of
cheeky.
Cheeky. That's so
Andy
cute.
calls us cheeky all the time because of it.
Well, there's a lot that is relatable as far as parenting goes, for sure. When I'm watching it, I'm like, some of the stuff I gotta say, I said this on on Twitter, and I believe this, and you guys can fight me on this. I think Bluey's a jerk.
Yes,
I
she's a
Ron,
child.
She
Ron,
is.
wait. Ron has thoughts, and let's go to then Charlie. He was looking.
No, she is definitely the more aggressive, more self-centered of the kids, and I think that is kind of the realistic of the an only or older kid, and it's very reflective of it. I mean, like, I think that's how I was as the oldest sibling, and I think it's a little bit how my daughter is as the only right now, and I just think that's kind of a dynamic, and I think what it plays off Bingo as kind of the self-appointed victim in half of these situations who can hold her own but just needs a little kick to get there, and I think the dynamic works between them where Bluey tends to be the overbearing one.
Yeah, I get that. Charlie, thoughts?
I think it's also, that age she's not quite in school yet. We're in the doldrums of the terrible boundaries phase, and it's just something about being that age between like 2 and 4 before you start school is very self-centered and very unintentionally mean, because she's only kind of focused on her own thing, but that's also usually what the episode is about. So we kind of need her to start out as a jerk so that she can learn her lesson throughout the thing and be like, this is why we don't, throw toys or whatever.
Well, let's take a look at the core family. We got Bandit, we got Chili. Those are the mom and the dad, and then Bingo is the little sister, and then Bluey is the one in the front. Desi, when you first started watching Bluey, and I this is going to be a weird question because I feel like most people think this. Did you think before you watched the show that Bluey was a boy?
I did think that Blue was a boy. I guess
Right?
that's our unconscious bias that Blue is associated with being a boy. So also I just have two boys, so in my head I see two little kids, and without, a pink bow or something and long eyelashes like most characters, I just assumed it was two boys at first before I started watching. Also, you called this show relatable with parenting. You guys must all be fantastic parents, because I think that this dad is a saint for what he puts up with Bluey, and just goes along with all of Bluey and Bingo's little schemes,
No.
even to the point of basically waterboarding himself for probably like 20 minutes with the hose. I don't know
All right,
what's going on there.
so let me back up a second and agree with you 150,000% because I want to talk about Bandit and how he's like father of the millennium, and an unfair example to set for children. I feel like if
Yes.
my kids were this age, I'd be like, no, I can't stay home with you all day long and play with you all day long and play all weekend long. And so, I think that you're 100% correct on that. When I say relatable, the episode called Takeaway, I don't know if you remember this one, where he goes to pick up the food, and it's this like Laurel and Hardy, like Keystone Cops, let me throw some other old references in there, like situation where he's like trying to do whack-a-mole with the two kids because he's just there to pick up food and leave, and like they can't be like entertained or non-entertained for like 2 seconds because they start to go off. And there's that scene where he's holding Bingo over the bushes to pee because there's no bathrooms around. Relatable. I've seen it happen. I saw it happen in a Splash Mountain queue once. And then on the other side, then of the street, unreachable, is Bingo's going, I'm gonna play in the water and take a shower, and the water's everywhere. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? In that moment, my anxiety meter went like this, and I was just like, I was there before, where you're just like, ah. But then he had that Bandit moment where he's like, oh, they're only young once. Yeah, let's all just trash this street. Let's just do it. And it's just like, but it is an unrealistic level of parenting, 150%.
So patient. He is the most patient parent of all time. But it
Patient
is
and
relatable that I would also wait for my spring rolls. I don't go out for Chinese food and not get spring rolls.
Yeah, Ron.
And there's moments where, and I think those are my least favorite episodes, where they let the games go too far. Like, I think like Kids is a good example where they're in the grocery store and Bingo's supposed to be Bingo and Bluey's playing the mom, and Bingo and Bandit are the toddlers, and Bandit gets set to sit time out in the toilet paper aisle and just has to sit there, and he just does, and I'm like, okay, there's a point where you just have to call these games, and there are a few, like, I think Asparagus is another one that where the game goes too far, and then there's times when Bandit just goes too far and becomes the annoying one, and you just see Chili's like, this has to stop in a few of the episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Charlie. Have you ever,
Yeah.
has your son ever compared you? Why aren't you more like Bandit?
No, no.
Because you are like
Bandit
Bandit.
does have he has the patience of a saint, but I do feel the relatable because I'm primarily a stay-at-home dad. Like I work at the parks and stuff, but that's what 2-3 days a week. The rest of the time I am Mr. Stay-at-home dad, and I'm home every night to be able to do that. So a lot of the getting swept up in the pretend and all that kind of thing, like if I'm carrying groceries or something and Donnie hits me with a thwip with a whatever, and I'm web stuck, I just can't move and I'm just holding it there, and I probably take it a little far, and it does annoy my wife. So I see that relatability. And with Bandit going too far, there's another episode, Rug Island, that we actually just watched today. Playing getting sucked up in things and playing and being a little kid and not having those responsibilities of an adult, where it's like, all right, you know what, I'm going to miss whatever I'm going to miss, and I'm just going to devote myself fully to having fun with my kid. There's like a freedom in it of like, I get to be a kid again, and yeah, I'm probably going to play with him and take it too far and not do the dishes and whatever, and like I'll just stay up later and have to do it. But it's that gift of childhood that they bring back to you, and I think that's what I like so much about this, is you get to see the parents, especially Bandit, but also Chili, kind of reliving their childhood and getting that childhood spark of joy back that you get from playing with a small kid. Like, I'm not gonna go around and play pretend by myself, but I will with him, and I get to do all those things that were so important to me for so many years. I get to do it again, and it's even more fun now because I'm watching it through his eyes.
Yeah, Desi, do you have anything else on Bandit before we move on?
No, just that he's the greatest father of all time, and he's an inspiration for me to be more patient with my kids.
Gafote, is that greatest father of? One thing though is that they take him down a peg sometimes. We were my wife and I swear to God, the two of us were just watching the show, and there was the episode where they go to the pool. They go to Uncle Spike's pool and Stripe's pool, and Bandit's gonna go, and Chili's like, well, you got to take the bag, you got to be responsible, you got to do these things, and he's like, nah, I'm gonna take the fun stuff. And then they get there and they can't have any fun because all the things that they were supposed to bring is what mom usually brings, and so it was like, where are your your flip-flops, and where is the sunscreen, and where is all this? And so they find themselves like just literally having no fun because the boring stuff that mom would usually bring wasn't brought. And then there was the one that almost felt a little off to me, and the episode where, and I think that either Ron or Charlie, one of you guys were saying, I think it was Ron, that like sometimes he goes too far. It was the episode where Bingo was like, Dad's too rough with me, and I was like, ooh,
She
like,
has to use her big girl bark.
That's the real, yeah.
yeah, and that it felt a little icky, but at the same time it felt like they handled it perfectly. I mean, that's kind of like the lessons that they learn along the way, like when they're doing, again, back to Daddy Robot, and he's cleaning up for them, but he's not going to clean the room for them. He's got an agenda to show them that they need to be the ones to clean the room, but he's going to kind of play along and let them get there. But then there was the same thing with like the episode of the Keepy Uppy where he hit the balloon too far and it popped, and then they were like, Dad, you did. that was our only balloon. What are you thinking, man? So, I mean, they do every now and then take him down a peg, but I do feel like he is an unrealistic expectation of what a dad should be. And Chili's no slouch. She's great, but I just mean like she's like there was a line in Honey I Blew Up the Kid, everybody's favorite movie, where Marcia Strausman steps up and says, "Daddies mean fun, mommies mean business." And I'm like, that's never not true. That's never not true.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So there are some moments that I wanted to talk about, and so I'm just gonna like throw one out there. There's the episode called "The Weekend," where, and most of the stuff I'm talking about is from season one, but I've seen stuff from all of the seasons. But there are 3 seasons on 141 episodes, by the way, and I think I did the math. I think it would only take you like 20 hours to watch all 3 seasons. So I mean, it will go by pretty fast. But in the Weekend episode,
And there's some still missing from Disney Plus too.
I do want to ask you about that. Yeah, I do want to ask you about that later on. So hold on to that. But in this episode, The Weekend, I think Desi, you alluded to the whole watching cricket thing, but there's a moment where he is playing the statue, like he's going to purchase the magic statue, and then he says, "Hold on a second," and then he goes into the bathroom, and the kids are with him. Is this a thing people do now, Desi? Like, I mean, we never had the kids like just come hang out with us in the bathroom.
My kids hang out with me in the bathroom. I don't know, but my kids are also super young, so they, don't think
Okay.
anything of it. Probably when they're older, it'll be weird.
Charlie, you're nodding your head. Same thing.
Yeah, I wear my son as a backpack at the urinal. It's not a big deal.
Because like, and Ron, I can't. Hear you.
I was on mute. We had to cut Andy off of following me into the bathroom, like when she turned like 3, a year ago. But she'll
Right.
still follow and go sit there and talk to mommy when she's in there.
Yeah. I just like, and then like Bluey's sitting there and like, pew. I'm just like, wow, okay, we're getting into it here. Are there any moments like that like stand out to you, Desi? Like not that specifically, but like a moment from an episode where you're like, that's something that you bring up in conversations, or that you're like, this is a funny thing that like you makes it your favorite episode or something.
I
No?
can't, I'm sorry. You put me on the spot. I can't think of one right now off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm gonna throw out another one then. Is that there's the one where they go on the bike. I think it's called The Bike, and the kids and dad are in the garage, and the garage door opens, and Chili's out like kind of like posed sexy on the bike, and says like, and
Bob
she says,
Bilby.
yeah, she says, "Are you ready, Bob?" And I'm just like, nobody else? Okay, fine.
No, that's a
It just was like,
That's a
I
good
mean, they
moment.
do it kind of like a Fast Times, like time, like the door opens and she's like posed and she's like, "Are you ready, Bob?" The
and then the
funniest
Polaroid
one,
goes off. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then one of the funniest ones is the doctor episode where they keep running in and they've all got a great problem that they've come up with, and one of them is, "I ate a hippo and now I'm burping up small hippos," and it's like burp and the hippo goes around, and then they show like Bingo like being the doctor in the background, and then there's a curtain, and one of the dogs has a crocodile on their head, and so Bluey's in the foreground sitting there all calm talking to one of the patients, and you just see Bingo like going to town trying to pull this thing off in the background. "How are you today?" And there's just like this nonsense happening, and I'm just like, that's comedy. I don't know, those are the moments that make me kind of love this show. Ron, you got to have some.
I mean, there's things that just make one of the things I think really is the music in the show. It's not one of those moments, but the music has just been like perfect throughout. It's a mix of original compositions and reworks of classical, and it just perfectly underscores what's supposed to be funny and what's supposed to be emotional. And I think one of my favorite moments is just the like introduction to the grannies when they first come in, in Granny's episode where, this is great, and then just shows like, oh no, not this. Like, those are the good parenting moments when you know the game's coming up and you just know this is not a game you want to play. Excuse me.
Yeah. Charlie, what about you? Any moments?
Yeah, the pool one is the one my wife references a lot, where he forgets everything, because that's always, I always think like, we're gonna be fine, we're gonna make it without the diaper bag. And like, I took my son to Disneyland, and we got there, and I realized I never put shoes on him. So like, I'm just a space cadet when I'm left to my own devices. But the thing, another moment that always sticks in my head is, can't remember which one it was. They were going to the trash or something, and it was looking at the back seat of their car, and it's just a mess. There's like goldfish everywhere and toys shoved head first in between the seat cushions and everything. Like, the front seat is fine, but the back seat is an absolute travesty, and I relate to that so hard. And I think about that a lot every time. I'm like, because I try to keep the car clean as often as I can, and it's just it's a never-ending sea of Cheerios that you just can't get away from. So
Yeah,
that was realistic.
I do think that's funny though when they cut to the back seat and there's just stuff laying everywhere. Because when my kids were little, we had a minivan. We the thing you say you're never going to do, and you do it, and you're like, man, this is really nice. We had a minivan, and like there would be like, like you said, Cheerios, or like there was sometime where there were gummies in one of those little like cup holders, and then they like melted, and then there's always, and then we go to sell the thing, and it's just like you're vacuuming up like full hamburgers. I mean, it's ridiculous the kind of stuff that goes back there. I want to say thank you again to Jungle Cruiser for another super chat.
Leather.
What's that? What?
Getting a lollipop that's been melted into leather sheets.
Oh. Is this
feel
still
that
good,
in my
Dad?
heart.
Yeah. All right.
Oh.
Well, Jungle Cruiser gave us another super chat, so thank you very much, Jungle Cruiser. We appreciate you. Rob, watching all the Bluey episodes sounds like a binge-watching challenge. I feel like you could do it. I mean, I feel like you could do it. You 20 hours, you sleep for 4. You're good. Like, get it right in the morning, and do that. You could do it in one day. I really feel like you could. And maybe, I don't know. And it's going to go by fast, as opposed to like some of the stuff you watch. You're like, this is kind of a beating. But any good snack ideas if I accept the challenge? And as you guys were talking, I was looking up like Pinterest, and like it just blows up with like all these Bluey snacks. And I was thinking, like, are there any, like there's a Welch's, but here's the trick. There are a bunch of snacks listed online that are actually Bluey snacks. And I don't know if they're available here, because obviously Bluey has its roots in Australia, but there's like pizza crackers and Welch's gummies and things like that. No? Do you guys, Ron, do you have any for Jungle Cruiser, any food tips for what to sit and eat while you're watching Bluey?
They eat a lot of sausages.
That's what I was going to say, sausages.
And salad. They have
sausages. Salad.
Fish and chips,
duck cake.
but
Get a
without
duck
the
cake.
fish.
Meat pies. Meat pies.
Well, the fish and chips without the fish, that was quite an episode. That was like the Infinity Gauntlet of episodes, because it all builds up to that final moment with the fishing, and it's like, let me introduce you to somebody, and mic drop. I'm like, perfect. Way to go. Way to end that episode.
Cool.
That teacher is also something to aspire to for teachers.
You say that.
It's based off Steiner schools, is my understanding of it. It's just like taking the Montessori concept a little, like one step further, where it's, let the play drive the learning, and specifically Steiner's, it's more about like more like the wooden toys, trying to avoid like metals and things like that. That's just my basic understanding from listening to some podcasts on it. But it's supposed to be a Steiner school. That's one, like, which is related to the Montessori thing, is all I really know about that. But the school episodes and Calypso, like running it, and all the kids are great. And just, I mean, how about the episode with the ADHD neurodiverse Jack Russell, and like how they treat that, and like Bluey just appears in the background of it. Like there's some great they really handle a lot of great things like that without being over heavy-handed. And I also like the personalities that they give each breed of dog.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't think of a better dog to kind of be the hyperactive ADHD type than a Jack Russell. Like, I had one as a kid, and that really fits the personality wise.
Well, and
What is Bluey?
they understand Blue Healer. They
They're
understand each
healers.
other's
They're
different.
cattle dogs.
Yeah, they understand each other's differences too. Like the episode where they're trying to stay, the Shadowland, I think is what it's called, and they're trying to stay there,
Hmm.
but like the wiener dog doesn't have long legs, and so they're like very patient, and they understand that like that's a thing, and how do I help you? So there are some really good lessons along that. But Ron, I have to rewind for just a second and make sure I understand you correctly. Are you listening to Bluey podcasts?
There is one particular Bluey podcast called Gotta Be Done. Um, it's two Australian moms. They started it a while ago. And since they were like the first Bluey podcast that there was, uh, they've interviewed all the staff. They've actually got invited and were on the show, I think on Promises. They were the librarians, the two women. So they got invited onto the show at that point.
We may
They
have to
were
stage an
the
intervention for you, buddy.
they were the first Bluey podcast. Does that mean there are
As far
several
as I know,
Bluey
they were the first
podcasts?
Bluey. They've been around for a while. There's a couple like because I follow their Twitter and like some others like two bandits watching Bluey. I think's another one, but I've only listened to this one because they do the interviews with Jeff Bush, or Joff Bush, who's the musician. They have all the actors on, except the kids. The kids they've never named the kid actors to keep their privacy, and supposedly they're going to have to be replaced for season 4 because they've aged out from being the voices, but they've never been named. They might just be production staff's kids, but like if they have all the actors, they have all the creators, they get everybody in. They get like professors on to talk about like the movie references in the show. So it is an interesting. Like they really go deep into like 45 minutes on each like 7-minute episode. It gets kind of insane.
Okay.
Who would go
And
that deep into something short like that? That's crazy.
That's insane. No, who would do that? Unrelated, we're starting a spin-off of this show. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, so that's pretty crazy. But that's cool, man. So let me go back to the Calypso thing real quick, just because again, my wife is an educator tonight. Was like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this because you've got a teacher who's sitting there and she's like, I don't think she actually is planning anything. I think she's just reacting to things, which again, to your point, Ron, could be that's the type of school that it is. But she's like she's filling her day with tying together two pieces of yarn. So she's like looking at it from like just a very realistic wouldn't happen in my school type of situation, which is also why I watch Abbott Elementary alone. That's just the thing. Um let's talk about I was thinking about this, and again, we have a lot of people in the chat and everything tonight, but I want to say thank you guys for being here. If you have not already, please give us a like because it helps people to find the show. We really want people to find the show so they know. We'll teach them a little bit about Bluey this week. We'll teach them about something next week. It'll be great. But to that point, we have another super chat from Jungle Cruiser. Just boom, boom, boom. Got it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This is going to help the demonetization because I swear we probably were. I'll go to Disneyland and get some churro toffee and maybe a few orders of gray stuff and find a quiet area in the park and binge watch on my iPad. Epic viewing location. Oh my God, that's a dream. That is a freaking dream right there. If I could just take the day and go to the park, and just like sit back with some like snacks in a corner somewhere and an iPad and just like that's fantastic. I love that journey for you. Please do that and let us know how it goes. Alex Martinez, also a super chat. Thank you so much. There are so many good episodes. Sleepy Time, Fairy Tale, and FaceTime
Yes.
are all classics, and there's so many small things for adults to pick up, like being hungover after New Year's. Yes, there
yeah,
are. There are a lot of things like that. Ron, what were you gonna say?
it all all three of those made my. I made a top 10 list
Okay.
for
Did
this,
you?
and then I couldn't put them in order, but all three of those made that list.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get to that in a second, but the first thing, we have one more super chat from Chloe Rogers says there's an actual school in Australia that the school is based on. Also, there are themed recipes on the official blog. So there you go. That Jungle Cruiser, go find those themed recipes and make some of that food. But I do still love the idea of the gray stuff and the churro toffee. Both of those are really good picks. Yeah, throw a Mickey pretzel in there, just get a little something savory. You're good to go. That's fantastic. So thank you all for the super chats. We really appreciate it. I need to though. I wasn't going to do this, but I feel like I've got a panel of super fans here. I feel like I can throw you some season 1 trivia. I feel like you guys are ready for that. So it
I
should
really
be.
thought there was no way we're having trivia this week.
I know. So did I. And then yet here we are. So, I'm gonna throw some stuff out there, and this is a panel though, Desi. Usually it's like a firing squad 1-on-1, but this is a panel. So you just slink into the background and pretend like you knew the
Do it all
answer,
to
and
Ron.
yeah, exactly. Um, in the horsey wedding episode, what are the names of the horses that Stripe and Bandit have to play?
There's been so many horse names, I can't remember which ones are which. Is it is it Galahop and Sparkle Sauce?
Sparkles, I'll take it. It was Sparkles. Galahop, yes, Galahop. That's a great name. That is a great name. And God, man,
Wow.
just Ron Deanna.
Wow.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Deanna. This is going to be
Tip my
something.
hat to you.
And to you, sir. How in the episode The Weekend, when Bandit is buying the magic statue, how much is the magic statue? I need the numeric number and the type of currency.
$25 bucks.
Isn't that interesting? They do
think
talk
it's
about dollar bucks, but
400 I think this is $400 dues.
good lord,
Yeah, I thought it was
yes.
dollar agent.
Nope, dollary dues, dollary dues.
They're-
So
They
but it was
definitely say
$400
bucks
dues.
at some point.
They do
No,
because
that's everything else has been dollar bucks. I think that's the only dollar dues I can remember.
yeah, I think it might have been maybe the shop episode or the Tooth Fairy episode where they talk about dollar bucks. But yeah, that's awesome. Bluey has a very special stuffed animal that she did not get to put away before her cousins came. What is the name of the stuffed animal?
Is it
Floppy?
Muffin or is the cousin Muffin?
No, Floppy is Bingo's rabbit. I think it begins with a
Bingo's
P.
God, Ron Deanna, come on, man. You're my freaking hero.
Begins with a P. Is it Penelope? I can't remember that one.
Persephone.
It's Polly Puppy. It's Polly Puppy. Yeah. So yeah. All right. Just a couple more. In the episode, I don't think you'll know this one, Ron. I don't think even the great Ron Deanna is going to know this one. I think I went deep on this one. You ready? You ready? In the episode, The Takeaway, what's the name of the takeaway? Because the episode's parked right out in front of it the entire episode. That's the
That's
only
a
background.
good one.
That's the only background to this in the entire 7 minutes is just this.
And I've
They go
commented
nowhere
on
else.
it that it kind of fits that running joke I have with some friends that like every Chinese restaurant is made up of like 10 different words. You just combine the two different names together, like garden, panda, jade, and just mix a few things like that. And I remember it fit into those rules, but I can't remember
Yeah.
what it is.
Golden Crown. Yeah, it was kind of weird. And by the way, the shopkeeper was Australian, so I feel like that's a little weird. In that episode, Bingo said, "Call me Tap Girl," and in a lot of episodes, Bingo will say, "Call me this instead. Call me that instead." In the episode that was the spy episode, What did Bingo say that they should call her? Because she says it 3 times. I think
It's
that's
something
probably
like
too tough.
sparkle sauce.
That's Sparkle Sauce is a name. Is that
You're,
Shibidua? No, that's what they call Bandit in
Desi
one
is
of
very
them.
close.
I think it's sparkle something.
It is Sparkle something. It is Sparkle Shot.
Oh, I was close.
One more trivia question. In the episode where and I don't remember the name of this episode, and y'all will know, I'm sure, but where they're in the park and Bluey is trying to like learn to ride a bike, and she and Bandit are sitting on the bench, and they're watching all the dogs do their
Bike.
different bike. There you go. Do their different things that they're trying to accomplish. Muffin is trying to slide into a backpack. What is that backpack? What is the
Teddy bear.
character on the back of that? No,
Isn't it a teddy
close
bear?
though. It is an animal.
Is that one of the? Is it the Cat Squad thing?
It's a
She
monkey.
watches Cat Squad.
It's a monkey.
Oh, Chutney Chimp.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't looking for the name, but
Wow.
you nailed that one. All right, this is for Ron
Wow.
only. You ready, Ron? This is the last thing I'm going to ask you guys. This is for Ron only. Uh, Name 6 of Bluey's friends or schoolmates. Easy for
Uh,
you. Easy for you.
Honey, Rusty, Snickers, Chloe. That's Jean-Luc. There's Lucky next door. Uh, Bentley at the park. There's Bentley. There's Winston. That's got to be at least 6.
Okay, and which
That
one is
is
this?
impressive.
Which one is this?
Is that Winston?
It is. So the
I
list
love
that I
Winston.
had was Lucky, Cocoa, Snickers, Muffin, Socks, Bentley, Mackenzie, Chloe, Honey, Judo, Pretzel, Indy, Rusty, and the Terriers.
Why don't the terriers get names?
Because
Why
they're the
are they
Terriers.
the
That's funny.
terriers?
That's
They're
funny.
so great. I love the Terriers
Yeah, the Terriers are so funny.
because I don't think they
Uh,
know each other apart.
yeah. Um, yeah, there was some meme that I saw about Bandit. This was just something that I just popped in, which was that there's a meme about Bandit where it shows 2 dads, and I forget who the dad was, but it was like, this used to be my dad crush. Oh, maybe it was John Stamos, and it's like now it's Bandit. So that's a big thing. By the way, I think we were talking about ages earlier. Do you guys know how old Bingo and Bluey are? Because they mention it in one of the episodes. It kind of took me by surprise.
I mean, is it
They
dog years?
both
Would
aged
they be
up,
like 1?
but
This
they
was
started at
season
4
1.
and 6, and they've aged up.
Yeah. So 4 and 6 was what I was looking at there. So yeah. All right. So let's move on, and I want to ask you guys favorite episodes now, and I'm going to end with Ron because Ron apparently has a laundry list, top 10. So just favorite episode. Let's start with Charlie. Charlie, what's your favorite episode, buddy?
Oh, I really liked Rug Island. That's a recent find. I really liked that one. The takeout one is really good, and where I don't know episode names of any of these except for Rug Island, where Bingo has to learn to sleep alone, and like her mom is the sun, and she's having this really beautiful dream of flying through space while chaos is ensuing around her with all the other sleeping arrangements. It's just really sweet and beautiful all the way through.
Okay.
Sleepy
Desi?
time.
Sleepy time.
We knew that was coming.
The
Desi?
the one that I was gonna say we kind of already talked about was Calypso, the one with the teacher and how, they have all of these varying storylines that kind of come together at the end, and then all integrate, which I thought was super cute. The other one, I don't know why it's not like it tells any particular story, but the one where Bluey is trying to fall asleep and gets frustrated that she can't fall asleep, and then she's like, I know, I'll dream of fruit bats. And then she goes to go dream of fruit bats, and she's laying there and she's like, "Oh, I'm so angry. I can't go fall asleep and dream of fruit bats. I guess I'll just fly out the window." And then she flies out the window and she sees her dad playing rugby because earlier in the episode, her dad was asleep and he was playing rugby in his dreams. So I thought that was just cute that their dreams kind of collided.
Yeah. And Ron, what you got? Top 10 in no particular order Bluey
So,
episodes.
yeah, no order. Fairy Tale, which is the one where that takes place in the 80s. It's kind of the flashback. Um, just love the 80s flashback because I apparently I'm about Bandit's age. And I love the supposed Chili is wearing a She-Ra costume at the end. Sleepy Time was great. It's just a beautiful episode with a beautiful rendition of Holst, The Planets, as the background music. The Creek, where they're going to explore, and Bluey's a little hesitant to go out and leave the playground because she thinks it's dangerous out there, which in Australia it probably would be. Um, one of the more recent ones is Rain, where it's just kind of almost like a silent episode. It's just the music of Bluey playing out in the rain and running back into the house and dragging the mud back in. And for some of the fun ones, like Stump Fest is one of my, I think is probably the funniest episode where the dads are all just trying to dig up stumps out of the yard. And Chili and Aunt Trixie are clearly drunk, like cheering them on and like flirting with the neighbor up on the balcony. Another more recent Facey Talk, where they're just on a FaceTime call the whole time with their cousins, which is one of the ones that they kind of edited some stuff out. Where in the Australian version, they find like they run in and the mom's on the toilet when so Bandit like gets upset about that. And then kind of a combo episode, Grannies and Bus. I think the Grannies characters are
Granny's
some of my
like
favorite game the kids play. Rug Island, Hammer Barn, the like Home Depot episode, where they're just going through Home Depot, and it's actually a nice Chili centric like Chili's the lesson, like giving the lessons there, and is the like parent on that one. Bandit's kind of off trying to just be I do the guy things and go buy a new oven. And then I think might be my absolute favorite, just because of the way the parallel stories work, is Flat Pack, which the parents are building a swing for the porch, and the kids are playing with all the discard that comes out of an IKEA box, and it shows them evolving. Like they play out the story of evolution, but they all at the same time they're playing the story of a child and their parent growing up and how they take care of each other. And it has oddly like spiritual religious overtones and just familial overtones. I think it's a really both funny and heartfelt episode, which a lot of these can go either way, and some of them are not all of them really grab you from both at the same time.
Does your daughter just go, Dad, can we not do any more Bluey right now? Can we just watch an episode of Law and Order or something? Because and then you're like, no, we're gonna watch Bluey.
Really, she could watch Bluey all day, and I mean, like when she's homesick, I will just put the iPad on her bed and have a playlist of all the episodes, and she just goes through them. So I do watch them occasionally on my own, but it's because Andy will go through an entire season in a day if she's not feeling well or it's too cold to go out and play or do anything. So, and right now it's a lot of that time where it is too cold to go out and do anything here.
I cannot relate.
Yeah, but I mean, the Cat in the Hat, it was too wet to play. So when I'm watching this, that's one of the things you mentioned, like watching this on an iPad, and I know that Jungle Cruiser said going to watch this on an iPad, is that they really downplay screens and upplay creative play, which is something that is definitely missing. And there's an episode about it where and it's the Bob episode. What's the name of the character again? The
Bob
puppet.
Bilby.
Yeah. So is that Bingo has brought this class puppet home and its journal and is going to show it like the time of its life this weekend. And Chili, like it's almost a cruel but necessary lesson that she's teaching is she takes pictures of all of them during the weekend on devices, watching cartoons, and it's like, okay, this is the story of Bob for this weekend. Is that the story you want to tell? And Bingo is crying and says, "No, I've ruined it. Bob's never going to want to come back here." And so they take all of the devices and put them in a box, and then they go do all these things that I'm pretty sure cost a gazillion dollars for them to go do. Except for the library. They did go to the library, but they go do a bunch of things, and it's great. And they go out as a family and they enjoy stuff. But there's very few screens. It's all about like creative play. I mean, Charlie, like as a stay-at-home dad, I'm sure you have to like come up with a ton of stuff like that because normally like if I go to see my nephews, they're just on a screen the entire time, but and they don't like physical toys anymore. I can't obviously relate to that. So I mean, like.
Yeah.
What do you experience?
Um, my son doesn't like we made a decision early on not to do any portable screens. Like we have the TV on for music or whatever, so like there's a screen on, but we're usually not watching TV. Like he'll get maybe one or two episodes of something a day or Pokemon. We're really into playing Pokemon. And he kind of guides my actions through, but like I'm much more into it than he is, and because it's not something we're used to, he'll do it for like 20 minutes and then want to go somewhere else, and I'm like, come on, just like one more gym. Like I'm more about screens than he is, so a lot of our time is spent with going outside, going to parks, going on hikes. He has all my old Power Ranger toys. We play a lot of Power Rangers and superheroes and everything, so it is constantly toys revolving through and building train tracks all over the house that piss off my wife. And like, there is a lot of that going on. So he's not a screen based kid, and hopefully we'll keep it that way as long as we can. I want him to start learning how to code soon, so we're going to have to start transitioning into like computers, but until that time he's no screens really.
Yeah, we were actually in Disneyland. I was there with walking around with Tom, and we walked by a table where they were basically just entertaining their child by sitting like a small child sitting a phone in front of them, almost like a, you know what, this is you just do this, and we're
Yeah.
going to do our thing. And I think I mean, honestly, I think as a parent, depending on how many kids you have, you may get to that level where you're like, this is survival for me. But it's so great to see them trying to create something else because I'm hoping that if a little kid sees this, they'll want to go play rather than, I think that honestly, there should be a good mix of the two because I think you need to be plugged in as a kid to what everybody else is doing, but I also don't think you need to have a screen in front of you 24/7, 365. So, I mean, it's easy to say from where I sit because like when my kids were really little, the phones weren't as prevalent, iPads weren't as prevalent. As they grew up, they grew into those devices, and once they did, it was like, it's like it is what it is. But again, I get that it's kind of it's a balancing act as a parent, and I think that this entire show is kind of about parenting in so many ways, as Ron, as you introduced from the beginning. One thing I do want to say real quick in chat is that Marshall said, all I'm saying is that Charlie dressed up as Zorro but didn't dress up as Bluey. We see where your priorities lie.
Yeah,
If you
definitely. And I could have handled all of the Zorro trivia, like get real nitty gritty. I'm going to tell you the names of the cantinas and stuff, but I'm not as up on my Bluey as I am on Zorro because I think I've only seen Bluey through once, and Zorro I've seen through like a dozen times.
Yeah, no, I get it. Here's the thing that I want to throw to you guys too is that Bluey is a Disney property via them buying it or bringing it through Disney Junior, bringing it
Licensing
through,
it, yeah.
yeah, licensing it. So why have we not seen this as popular as it is? Why have we not seen something in the parks? I guess that's part of the licensing agreement, but I feel like Disney would be whatever they would have to pay for it. I feel like they would make back.
Probably because
it's just the way it works.
Go ahead, Ron. You start, and then we'll go to Desi.
It's just the distribution rights is what they have. Like they don't really fund it. Like they just kind of like BBC was kind of the outside funding for Ludo Studios and ABC Australia, and then Disney just kind of jumped in and got the U.S. distribution, and they're just starting to try and do more stuff. Like obviously, Bluey was in the Thanksgiving Day Parade, and that was kind of to promote that there's a live show tour going on with kind of the same kind of puppets they did with like the Winnie the Pooh or like the Little Mermaid show that was at the studios. Those kind of puppets is what they're doing for this live
Oh,
show.
I
And I'm going
hate
to go
it.
see that. I think what?
You hate
Oh,
it.
Those look terrifying.
I agree. I agree. That's terrifying.
Well, buy your tickets now.
well, we're going to go see it in April.
I think your daughter will love it though, right?
She will love it. Yeah,
It's like one of the
for
first
sure.
things we're trying to get her to go to like live shows. She kind of did some on the cruise, but like also like ran out screaming in other ones. So she sat through Frozen because she knows everything in the show and was yelling about how bad of a man Hans was the whole time. The whole theater was laughing at her. Um, and then like when with the like jukebox show, she's just like, yeah, I need to leave. So we'll see if she sits through Bluey. That should be a good test.
Kira in chat says, I think Disney is jealous that they didn't make Bluey, so they aren't putting it in the parks. I mean, I think that this is funny to me because it feels like they're dressed like crocodile hunters, with the shorts and the. I mean, no, I don't know. It's interesting, but I feel like there may have been a better way to do this, but maybe not. What do I don't know? What do I know? Desi,
But
what were you going to say about?
also think about how slow they are to put stuff in like Disney Junior Live on stage. Half those shows are almost done by the time they like put anything on there.
Yeah.
They've always been really slow to like DuckTales. The show's
Ooh.
over that just came out in the like all of the every time they put something in Phineas and Ferb, the shows are basically over.
Yeah,
They're coming back.
yeah. Desi, what were you going to say about the
Yeah.
parks? You want a Peppa Pig
Well,
/ Bluey park?
no, I think that maybe the reason they aren't pushing Bluey is because Bluey is aimed at the age range where the kids are free to get into the park, and therefore they aren't making any money off of them.
Yeah,
Also, my kids sat through Drawn to Life this weekend and loved it, so I am sure that your daughter is going to love the Bluey show and
yeah.
can sit through it.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that Disney is probably placed like I feel like they've bet wrong too many times on trying to like have something hit the parks the same time that it hits the screen, whether it's the Dick Tracy show or I'm trying to think dinosaur things like that. It's like this is going to
The
be a huge hit.
Atlantis ride.
There you go. Like things that you're like they're like ready to pull the trigger on, and they've got it's like, hey, this is coming, and then it's like you wait and see, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's not really great. We should probably not make a whole attraction or something based on that we'll never see the return on. But I mean, even if those kids are free to get in, Desi, the parents got to bring them.
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
Um, so we're running late here, but again, like I said, I think we could probably have just talk and laugh about the specific episodes of Bluey that we've seen along the way. I was there was one other thing that I wanted to say that was a moment that I heard that I was like, it was so funny. It was the episode called The Claw, where they go and there's a claw machine and they don't get what they want, and so they go home and Chili is going to be the claw machine, and she just gives out the prizes, and then and then Bandit's like, that's not how you do it, because you want it to be more of a challenge. And I think about that sometimes with things like going through a lightning lane in 2 seconds, as opposed to if you waited in the line, you've earned that, and you've told stories about things, and you've had the experience. Not that I love waiting in a line, but it makes it different when you have to work for whatever it is. And so I think that was the lesson that Bandit was trying to get across, but he made them do chores to get money to play the claw, and he said they learn a lesson and we get the house cleaned. And Chili says, neither of those things are happening. Because they were
Yep.
just doing the worst job with everything. And I just love that dynamic between the
Relatable.
two of them. Yeah, the Bandit's just like, oh, everything's great. And Chili's like, open your eyes, look around. Like, neither of these things are happening. They learned nothing, and the house is now trashed. So, again, also
And
the gross.
and then he tries to screw over the kids at the end of it.
Right. I mean, Father of the Year, we've been saying, right? And then the Blue Mountain episode where like they're doing the thing with their hands, and then like Big Sister gets eaten by the monster. Like basically, she's shoved her hand. Chili has shoved her hand halfway down Bandit's throat. So both those things are bad. Like if we're living in the dreamland with the little hands, the Big Sister's been like swallowed. That's horrible. But if we're thinking about it from like what's actually happening, Chili just basically shoved her hand all the way down like Bandit's throat here. Like neither of those are good things. And then she comes out and she's like, "Oh, I'm all like it's just, it's like, oh, I got like, all wet from that. It was just weird. It was not great. It was not great. And I was just like, what is even happening here?" So, there are some interesting parts.
That's on my list of worst episodes.
Is it? Okay. It is
Do you have a top
different though.
10?
The bottom 10. They did try
Bottom
something
10.
Yeah,
different
this
there because it can't all be the exact same formula or then what you have is Home Improvement. Home Improvement was the
Or
exact same
Paw
formula.
Patrol.
I
Every
Oh
don't
my
episode
God, I
of
hate
Paw
Paw
Patrol is
Patrol.
the same, and I just want to run
I'm
off
so
a
over
balcony
it.
and jump. I hate
don't
Paw
do that,
Patrol.
please.
Agreed.
she did not
It's
get
the
into that.
worst.
Yeah, so I mean it's neat that they try those things, but you're right. Sometimes like the Family Guy episode where they get locked in the vault, like that's one of my least favorite episodes because it's just Brian and Stewie in a vault the entire time, and it's gross, and I don't know, it's just like that one to me is not the but they tried something, right? So that's you have 141 episodes, you get to try things like that from time to time. But the last one I want to say is The Market, or it's called Markets, where it's the Tooth Fairy episode, and they do such a good job with nodding to the parents and nodding to the kid, like making it like you know what I'm saying? Like I hesitate to say anything out loud ever,
Five
but
bucks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, oh, look, I lost another tooth. Great. Like, I don't know. That was a neat episode to me though. And then the whole thing about like Indy and the karma, and my mom says what comes around goes around, and then the same $5 comes right back to them at the end. I thought that was a neat little thing. So I want to wrap this up and say again, thank you to everyone who's watched with us. Thank you so much for the super chats tonight. We really appreciate the super chats from Chloe, Alex, Jungle Cruiser. So generous. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We also have on the same network, so if you haven't already subscribed to WDWNT TV, please do it. We have News Tonight is on tomorrow night, and then I don't know from week to week whether we have a boxed in, but those come in on Friday nights, and then Sunday night we will be here for Park Center. So and talking about the 100 years of wonder that we just celebrated in Disneyland. So please come back and join us for that. But and give us a like tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you to my panel here. But I want to go around, and I think it's kind of a no brainer. But let's just start with Desi. Would you recommend this show?
Yes, it is so much better than Paw Patrol or Peppa Pig. I like that it's only 7 minutes long, so I can be like, "Hey, you guys can watch one episode of Bluey, and then Mommy gets to watch one of her shows. So I'll throw on Deep in the Plus or Park Center, and you guys can watch one episode of Bluey, and it's all totally fair."
I love both those things. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Yeah, I would recommend Bluey. I think that it's something we can all aspire to, and hopefully helps to bring out the joy of childhood that we all want as parents. I don't know necessarily if I could recommend it to my childless friends. I don't know if it's going to have the same impact for them, but as a parent, it hits home really hard.
Yeah. And I feel like we know what we're going to see with Ron, but Ron?
Yeah, I think it's a good it is I think it's one of the best shows I've seen to just watch with your kids, because it's not trying to talk down to them, and it's not trying to talk below you. I think it's trying to speak to its whole audience, and it goes back to that Walt quote, and I can't remember, but if you aim for the kids, you're going to lose. And that's what the show really exemplifies in a modern audience, is you have to aim for the whole family to make a good quality product, and that's what the show does. And even there are jokes that have to get cut, or even whole episodes that have gotten cut in the US because Disney thought they were a little too adult. I mean, there's a whole episode where they simulate Bandit being pregnant, and it's called Dad Baby, and it is one of the funniest things, but it hasn't aired here yet as far as I know. And if you could find it, watch it, because it's just hilarious without being a kid's thing. It's just funny, and adults, and even I think adults without kids, can relate to a lot of the stuff that goes on in this show.
I was going to ask you, and obviously I would recommend it, and as someone who doesn't have little kids, I still so enjoy it. I mean, again, sometimes we'll be sitting around, we won't have anything to watch, we'll just pop on Bluey, and usually it's my daughter driving the remote going, oh, we got to watch this one, oh, we got to watch this one. So there are a ton of them. I don't even know which season they're from, because we just jump back and forth, whether, like on Christmas Day, we watch the Christmas episode, so I mean, it's really a neat show to just sit down and watch. And sometimes you sit down and watch a show, and it's like, I'm gonna watch this because I've heard everybody talking about it. I heard it's great, or I'm gonna watch it for Deep in the Plus, whatever your reasoning. And now, this is one that's just really a lot of fun to watch, and I will continue to watch. I'm already a big kid anyway, but I'll continue to watch it. So, Ron, before we go, do you know approximately how many episodes didn't air? Because I feel like there was only 100.
As far as I know right now, there's 2 that have not aired. And some people say it's, because of the content. I think it's a combination of the content, and when they air on Disney Junior, they're aired in 3-episode chunks. So, and they do 52 episodes a season. So 51 fits into those 3. So I think they were just kind of cut as which is the most objectionable episode out of each season, maybe. And Teasing from season 1, and I think Dad Baby from season 2. This might be reversed. But those are the only 2 that haven't aired. But there's a lot of things that have been changed. Like, in Markets is a joke where the horse poops. And they just cut that out. That's why they run away from the pony rides, because the horse poops. And there's an episode.
By the way, that seemed like animal abuse to that poor pony that was dressed up like a unicorn. I'm just putting that out there.
And there's an episode from this most recent season where, in the Australian version, Bandit and Fido, one of the other dads, are talking, and it's very clear they're talking about getting vasectomies. And in the I'm keen to get them removed, but Chili wants to keep her options open. And they're talking about and in the US version it's like, but I really like my dog teeth. What if I need to bite somebody? Ooh. That's the kind of dialogue switch that they did. Which I don't know how them biting someone is any better, but so there are a few things like that they've cut. A few other things that they cut just because of some connotations of certain phrases between Australia and the US were different, but those are some of the more memorable ones out there.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to look into that more. Maybe we'll all subscribe to this podcast you're talking about. Maybe we'll start our own. Who knows? But I want to say again, thank you to everyone who's watching. And please make sure in the comments below after the show is over, tell us if you watch Blue. It's a judgment-free zone. It's a judgment-free zone if you're an adult and you watch Bluey, or if you have it with your kids. We would love to hear from you. But I think before we go, I think we have to. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next time. Take care.